Hey, we're live, mate. Hi.
Hey,
How you doing, Kobe? You okay?
good mate, good, good. Nice and rainy here in Hong Kong, mate.
I thought I could hear some rain actually, but I thought no.
Yeah,
It was that or a little dog sort of like tip tapping on some like hardwood floor or something.
yeah, no, definitely don't have that here. The apartments aren't that big, have dogs.
That's it. Unless you're in Discovery Bay.
Yeah, well,
So yeah, welcome to AppShareLive. If you're watching and haven't watched before, I haven't run one for a little while, but the idea is that educators come on and share ideas from their classroom about ways in which they're using technology in the classroom. And in this episode, we've got Coby Reynolds, who's an Apple Distinguished Educator. Well, you tell us about yourself, Coby, rather than me doing your little bio.
oh, cool, mate. Yeah, thanks, guys. Good to be on today again, Mark. I haven't been here for a while. I think I've done a couple with you in the past. Saw the tweet the other day. I thought I'll join you for another one. I currently live in Hong Kong, from Australia originally, but living internationally for the last sort of 4 or 5 years. More previously in Dubai, working at a school there, rolling out one-to-one iPads, and now working in Hong Kong, teaching upper primary at an international school here in a bilingual sort of setting. So got a little bit of experience internationally, as well as from home as well. So yeah, going to share a few things with you today and doing with the students. Hope you find it useful. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I was in the United Arab Emirates recently for Bet Middle East,
Sure.
and we tried
Yeah.
to do a sort of UAE focused kind of app share live, but the Wi-Fi in the hotel wouldn't sort of keep it together.
Sounds like that.
Which, yeah. So whereabouts in the Emirates were you? What was the school? Anyone you want to do a sort of shout out to who might be watching?
Yeah, I was working at a school called Victoria International School, Sharjah, originally set up by a link between the Victorian government in Australia and the UAE government in Sharjah. So it was a bit of more of a pilot school as such, running an interesting curriculum, running the Victorian state government curriculum at the time. And I moved over there in 2012, started to implement some uses of technology. So they're doing really well at the moment there. We've got has been seeing, following and tracking their progress on Twitter. So they're really pushing forward with their digital innovation at the school, as a sort of step forward with the iPads that were introduced sort of into 2013 sort of time. So yeah, so it's been a good move over here for me, but very different sort of atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah, so I met up with Steph Bernier while I
Sure. Yeah.
was at Bet Middle East. In fact, I was on a social media panel which she chaired and what have you. So she's
Yeah.
an
Nice.
ex-colleague of yours.
Yeah.
Met lots of people. Just having a little look. There's a few things going on social media. So hi, if you're going to tweet, please use the hashtag AppShareLive. Coby's going to share first, and you're going to be sharing about some work with Explain Everything and DACRI 4D. Is that right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. More recently, Mark, I've sort of moved across to Hong Kong, as I mentioned, and one of the big key differences for me was the change of the curriculum a little bit, a bit more science based here. So a lot of this new curriculum I've had to come up and reteach and relearn myself, and think of more different ways to sort of engage the kids a little bit and actually show their understanding. So I've been exploring a little bit more with different apps and things like that as well. And one of the ones that I really have, and especially with this VR and AR sort of movement forward, trying to find things that really like spark the kids' imagination and give them a bit better understanding of the concepts. So the new topic I'm currently doing at the moment is all based around elements and the periodic table and how this all works and how they interact. So one of the things that I did come across, and DACRI's been around for quite a while now, but never really had the use myself personally for it. And you've always got these apps up here, Mark, that you sort of just got in your back pocket for whenever you need them, and that was sort of one of them. So I thought I'd share it with you today. So basically, it's an augmented reality app that allows me to scan a piece of paper, essentially, that will scan up and show the particular element in 4D. So the kids can actually physically hold onto it. They can move it around, twist it, and everything like that. So as a part of my week, I've had quite a busy week. I've actually been in Taiwan all week with the students on a overseas trip. So don't actually have the cubes with me today. I've left them with the kids at school. So what I do have though, I'm just going to share my screen and I'll start talking a little bit over the app and sort of what it does. And then I'll show you how one of the activities particularly I did with the new collaboratives feature in Explain Everything that hasn't really sort of taken off with too many people. But I'll show you just a little way that I've used that with the students as well. So give me 2 seconds and I'll just share my screen with you. Okay, cool. Can you see my iPad now, Mark?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So the particular app elements is really cool. So basically it'll come up, it loads up, and it's basically just a scanning app. Now, if you actually go to these guys' website, you go to their website and it will, hang on, it's telling me I need to update. Hopefully it should be okay. You go to their website and you basically download these PDFs, which you can then print and have them as a physical block that you can actually hold in your hand. As I said, I don't have them here today, but that's okay. So what I've prepared is my my other iPad. You can see it's already starting to pick up a few things. So basically what you do is you print these off. You can see here that this is oxygen. Nothing in there. You can't see anything with oxygen at the moment. Now what I could essentially do is I could pick this up. You can see chlorine here. You can see carbon. And you can actually physically move this around. So what I really like about it is this, like the physicality and the kinesthetic aspect of it, where the students can actually move around and see what the actual element looks like. You know, rather than that boring periodic table that we're normally used to, looking at the particular elements, but actually moving around and actually seeing what it can do. If you press on carbon down on the bottom, it also gives you a little bit more information, which for my level, I'm teaching grade 5, is this sort of level. I kind of want them to have a basic understanding of the symbol, the atomic number, some general understanding of the atomic weight, and just sort of what it is at the moment. So as you can see here, so if you actually go, I'm live on their website at the moment, you can scroll all the way down and you can see they've currently got six lots of 6, so 36 elements. Obviously that's not all of the periodic elements, but definitely enough to keep the kids quite amused so far. One of the other really cool things of it, and I unfortunately won't be able to show you on the screen here, is, for example, basic table salt is actually made up of chlorine and where is it? Can't even think here. Where is it? There it is. Chlorine and sodium. So if you actually have, if you scan the sodium, you can see like that, and then the chlorine itself is. We would probably more commonly know that from a pool chlorine. You can see sort of that green tinge. If you actually put them together next to each other physically with the actual blocks, it actually makes basic table salt, which the actual element inside it really changes. So to see that physical change is really cool for the students as well. So one of the things, I'll move on. So once the students have used that and they've got pretty much a general understanding of sort of what's going on there, I then introduced them to using Explain Everything. We use that a lot. I use it a lot, particularly in science, just for that sort of explanation element of it. And but one of the key features of it at the moment, though, is this collaborative feature. So I just want to share that a little bit, Mark, just sort of so everyone sort of gets a bit of an understanding of what's going on. So the collaboration feature essentially allows the students to work collaboratively on the same project, and as long as they're on the same Wi-Fi network, they'll be able to access this remotely or in their classroom. So we're not one-to-one at my current school, so we use shared devices. So normally kids are working in groups, which actually I don't mind because it's more of a collaborative way of working. So I'll show you just very basically. So at the moment, I haven't got any projects in here. This is my home iPad, but if you press down on collaborate down the bottom, it's pretty simple, very similar interface to the normal classic, as you would know. Once I'm starting a blank project, it'll ask me basically to give it a name. So AppShareLive. And once I press start, what it actually does is it creates its own generates its own code. that then is shared out for the students, available on their local network as well. So it's one really little cool aspect that if you want something to happen, I like it because of the fast pacedness of it. So the way that I actually used it was the students could actually then work collaboratively on different slides. Now, as we know that with Explain Everything, you can have multiple slides. So what the students did is they divided up particular parts of this little project I wanted them to do. One would work on slide 1, one would slide 2, slide 3, and so on. So you can see down in the bottom corner is the blue. I can actually see how many people are on. Now, currently I'm the only one, but that's the broadcaster one. So there is one particular iPad that broadcasts, the others will join. So the blue Explain Everything icon at the bottom corner would actually show me the other participants, how many users are currently on. So that's another little feature as well, that you can keep track of what the students are working on. So to give you a bit of a something else, just very briefly, in Explain Everything, some of the new features are these clip art, which again, some people haven't really seen, haven't started to utilize a little bit. My students have been using quite a lot, really, in the science element of things. So if you have a flip through, you can see different categories, different shapes. A lot of them have been using these particular beakers and that sort of thing to actually give their project a little bit more flair. So that's been something that's quite useful for the students as well. And generally a feature that's not commonly used, so they don't have to go through Google to find these images to put into their project. A lot of them are sort of there already for them. So another really cool element. What I might do, Mark, I might just share a particular project that one of the students has actually completed already.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so here's a screenshot from in class. So one of the students taking screenshots. So what they had to do is they had to basically give me an explanation of their element and tell me a little bit about it, and work a little bit collaboratively with other people. So this one, here's the screenshot. You can see here, students have used particular parts of that clip art already to make a little bit more of a title, I suppose, which was quite cool. Let me just press play. Let's see if we can hear this. Can you still see my screen, Mark?
I can see,
just drop off.
I can see your Mac screen now.
Okay, I might have just dropped off. Give me a sec. How's that? Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't hear it though.
Can't hear it. No sound? No. Okay, it's not working for some reason. That's okay. But you get the idea. So I've got the student talking over the top of this, giving me an explanation of what's going on. As I flick through, you can see here, this is new slides. So students are working on different slides here. So they've set this one up in the exact same manner, working on different slides together. They've got some lovely clip art people there you can see on the side. Obviously not the people who they actually are, but you get the idea. Yeah. It gives it that sort of more authentic, real sort of presentation tutorial, which Explain Everything gives you. So I've got another one here, very similar, same sort of thing, using a different picture. And another one, I think this is, another one a little bit different. Okay, just looking at different features of Explain Everything as well. Okay, so one of the key points here is this collaborative feature. So this particular one, I'm just going to let it play. There won't be any sound behind it, but this particular one was 4 girls working on a particular project. They were looking at chemical physical changes. So you can see they had a slide each they could work on, where they're talking about physical changes, giving examples, that sort of thing, where they can actually work together collaboratively and put something together in sort of that quick turnaround time that I'm sort of looking for. I would use this for more of a formative assessment, just to get a bit of a gauge of how the students are actually understanding what I'm talking about as well. This is something I would then get them to export and upload to, say, something like Seesaw, where I could just basically get an understanding of, hey, do they get it? Do they not get it? Something like that. I did this particular lesson in a 40-minute lesson, so which is actually quite quick turnaround if you cut out transitional time in that as well. But it really gave me a really good understanding of them with this particular example, chemical change, and using Explain Everything to do that in the whole process. So yeah, so that's sort of what I was going to share today, Mark. One of the things that the students are looking at is that collaborativeness feature, and sort of how that sort of helps me gauge their understanding a little bit as well in that sort of small period of time that I do have with the students throughout the day.
That's brilliant, mate. Thank you very much for sharing indeed. I had some great comments for people on Twitter, and we'll have you talking about how to liken the sort of different, like you were saying, not many people have sort of cottoned on to the newer version of Explain Everything, you know?
Sure, yeah.
And so it's like a bit of a revelation, like, what, there's clip art, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You can collaborate, you know, so forth and so on. So thanks for sharing, and secondly, sort of drawing a spotlight onto the newer features of the collaborative Explain Everything.
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Thank you. So look, we talked beforehand. Normally, we'd have quite a few people presenting.
Yeah.
So, but it's just the two of us today. It's just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
Yeah, you're going to sing that, yeah.
Just the two of us, you and I.
DJ Mark.
So, what I thought we could do is have a bit of an app off. Okay, so I'm gonna take your Explain Everything and DAQRI 4D and what have you, and I'm going to raise you Apple Classroom.
Sure.
Okay. So a completely different tool is Apple Classroom to the ones that you've shared. And when we think about things called Classroom, actually, lots of people sort of think, oh, well, that's like Google Classroom. It's a system whereby, you know, you're setting work, you're reminding kids to bring their sports kit in tomorrow, all these sorts of things. But actually, Apple Classroom is more about sort of managing devices in the classroom now. And managing the iPads and what have you, children in your classroom at the time. Now, until recently, you could only really use Apple Classroom if you've got all your MDM set up and everything's all singing to each other, all the rest of it. But it's had an update, and now you can control iPads and what have you in your classroom without having to get all that stuff set up. Now, unfortunately, I'm not like Coby. I haven't got, like, you know, a spare iPad or 10.
I've got a work one and a personal one, mate. So
to utilise for my demonstration. But what I wanted to quickly just share with you how easy it is to set up a class and what have you, and then just to discuss some of the features of Apple Classroom that you can use to help you in the classroom. So I'll just swing across, and if you could just tell me, Coby, I'm going to go screen share. And if you could just tell me if my iPad appears, that'd be great. So it says I'm screen sharing. Can you see my iPad, Coby?
Yeah, the same background as your desktop.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
mine, mate. Don't worry.
Okay, so if I just go into here and try and load up Apple Classroom. I think I need to call it Classroom, actually, not Apple Classroom. There we go. So here we can see I've already got some classes set up, but I'll go ahead and just create a new class by tapping on Create a New Class. And I can call it Coby Rocks. Let's say I can choose a color.
Sounds like a good class.
It's a great class, mate. I can choose like different colors and what have you. Tap on Done. There it is. Now, if I go into here, okay, all I need to do now to add students into the class is tap Add Students. And they can load Apple Classroom onto their devices. They join my class and put in that code. And then each of those different children will then appear down the bottom here. If you can see my mouse moving around, Coby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the pupils, children, all come down here. Now, what I'm going to focus on now really are these options at the top here, because these are the things that can really help you when you're using Apple Classroom. So if we just go to Open, if I tap on there, I could use Apple Classroom to open apps straight onto the devices of children in the classroom. I go to Navigate. I can navigate children straight to certain pages and what have you, using Safari. If I want to grab their attention really, really quickly, I can lock their screens. I can mute people. I can look at their screens as well. I can group people who are on similar activities. And there's loads of great features inside of the classroom to help you make that classroom that little bit more efficient. So you know what it's like, let's say you've got 30 children in your class and you want them to go to a specific website. If you just give them the URL, okay, oftentimes, the children will get to that address and what have you, but normally it takes a good few minutes for children to actually reach that same place in time, the same point,
Sure. Mark, sorry to cut you off. I'm just checking. We're just making sure that your screen is actually showing. Just getting a couple of messages on Twitter mentioning that they can see my lovely face, but they're probably more interested in actually seeing your screen. So I can still see your screen. Yeah.
That's interesting. So on Hangouts here, it says I am screen sharing and I am presenting to everyone. So I'll just I'll stop that and I'll just retry.
So I can see you now.
Yeah,
hopefully that's a little bit better.
So present to everyone. There we go. And then screen share. And I should be able to just go entire screen. Can you? Where's my iPad gone now? There. Can you see my iPad, Coby?
Almost. No, just your face.
Interesting. I'll keep talking. And
okay. And people get to look at me.
So I think your experience is different to everybody else's, though. So
sure,
I'll just go to be just me. So the great thing with Classroom is it makes your classroom more efficient. That's its core purpose for me. Some people sort of think of it as being like a behaviour management tool. It's not that. It's about making sure that kids get into the apps quickly. It's about getting them onto the web pages that you want them to visit quickly. The books you want them to have open from my books quickly, so forth and so on. And it's a great way as well of sharing children's screens, so I can look at their screens on my device, but what I can also easily do is project their screens up onto the whiteboard and what have you through Apple TV and these sorts of features as well. So it's a really nice tool. And if you're a teacher who's got an iPad in the classroom, with a bunch of kids who've got iPads in the classroom, it's now a really, really simple way of just getting those things up onto and working in your classroom. So that's Apple Classroom. That was my idea. So Coby, I said we'll have a bit of an app off. So you started with Daiquiri 4D and Explain Everything Collaborative. I moved on to Apple Classroom. Have you got something you'd like to try and raise the bar with over Apple Classroom?
Apple Classroom. Well, look, I haven't actually tried out Apple Classroom yet, Mark. So that's sort of something that I wanted to get into a little bit. But as I said, I'm in a shared device environment at the moment, so sort of trying to get the students used to that collaborative feature aspect more locally, I suppose, with my end. Probably one of the other things, as I mentioned, I'm still sort of looking at some different ways of how the students are sort of getting engaged a little bit more in that scientific process. So a lot of my kids, as I said, my curriculum's changed slightly again. I've been using a lot of the TinyBop apps recently. And specifically for the lot of push in education at the moment for STEM and science and these sort of how do things work and these simple machines and all that sort of elements of things. So I've been utilizing a few of their apps recently, earlier in the year. One of the ones that I really do like at the moment is the Human Body app. Again, something that's been around quite a while that's in the back of my mind that when I start coming up with going, how am I actually going to use this with the kids, is something that I've been using a little bit. So I'm just going to go back to my iPad screen, hopefully, in a second. Give me 2 secs. I just want to show you one of the cool things about it, specifically, is the way that it. Where are we? Sorry, I've got a few things going on here, Mark.
It's all right. You're busy.
Here we go. All right, I've changed iPads. too many I've got here. So yeah, one of the things, as I mentioned, is this Human Body app. I can't find. I've got too many on here. One of the things I really like about the Human Body app specifically is the graphics of it. For kids, it's really hard to find for sort of that upper primary or lower middle school kids Really accessible graphics and interesting information and visuals to explain the human body systems. I'm currently in some Chinese interface here, as you can see, which is another cool feature of their app, some different languages. You can see here, basically, it gives it, the visuals in it are really, really nice, and aesthetically, the students actually really like using it.
So just looking at you at the moment, Coby, not your iPad.
You can't see my iPad. Okay, let me have a look. Having some interesting technical things today. Let's have a look. Let's try that. How's that?
It's gone black for a second. There we go. Yep, can see it now. Brilliant.
Cool. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So as you can see here, can you see the full screen, Mark?
Yeah. All
right, nice. All right. So as you can see here, it's got labels, really nice diagrams. Up on the top here, you've got some different languages. So for people teaching in international schools or that sort of ESL environment, it's actually quite good. Good tool there as well. They've got, I can't remember exactly how many languages. They've got quite a few on there as well. So it defaults automatically to the circuitry system here. You can click off it. I'm actually going to change it back to English. Actually going to turn them off. How's that? Okay. So one of the main things, like one of the ones I really like, is showing the respiratory system. So physically, you can actually see what's going on and what happens in the circuitry system. So you can actually zoom in as well. So you're getting like a very nice, clear image of what actually goes on when you breathe. Now, for kids, like you breathe automatically, and this is sort of something that they don't quite get and they can't understand how that actually works. So you start talking a little bit about the diaphragm and how that is the main muscle that contracts, that basically creates a vacuum, which sucks the oxygen in. But then actually what happens is you can actually slide this little toggle across, and then you're basically looking inside a set of lungs. And you're watching the oxygen come in and then the carbon dioxide going out, which, as I said, visually for the students is really cool. And it makes my job a lot easier to sort of explain that process. Again, up on the top right there, you've got that plus and minus. That's your zoom in and out. So again, you can go deeper again with this one, right inside to the alveoli, where basically you can see the transfer of oxygen into the blood. So again, another really cool visual way for the kids to see that and to understand that. If you notice, there's a pair of legs down the bottom as well. This is a person just currently at rest. If you tap this, you notice I continue to tap, he'll start to run, and you can see the physical changes and the visual change on the actual lungs, where, okay, there's more oxygen going in, they're moving faster, your heart is going faster, all that sort of thing as well. So that's really cool. The kids love playing with that one. Back on the side, probably the most fun we had with this was the digestive system, Mark. So as you could imagine, and again, the visual representations and some of the sound effects that come through this, you can only imagine what goes on. So again, you can drag in, and you can actually see what's going on here down the esophagus. Now, again, my toggle bar, I can actually move that across and actually see it dropping into the stomach, the food, and then obviously you've got lots of different foods here. He does actually spew, so if you give him enough food or enough of the wrong thing, it actually does come back up, which is really nice. So again, zooming in, you got your plus here. It gives you the hot spots where you can zoom into. So let's zoom into the stomach. You can see in here you've got the inside lining of the stomach. It starts the food coming down. It'll see a little bit more of the gases build up, which is a burp and all these sort of things. So again, visually for the kids to get this understanding, rather than say me standing up talking about this, is a lot easier for them to get. I generally use it as more of an exploratory aspect of this as well. So I get them to explore it. I just go in, I give them the app, and I go, here you go, guys, this is what we've been learning about. I want you to have a look at it and see what happens. Explore, go around and play around with it. The really, really cool one is obviously the lower part of the digestive system, Mark, as you can see here. you start to get a little bit more of the build up of the waste products. You can see it coming down now. One like this for kids is like hilarious, as you can imagine. You can see that it's squeezing out its last juices for their body there, turning it into actually, and you actually move them around here. So this is my finger. I'm actually moving them around. You can see there's a little circle here. If you press the circle, it actually makes a really interesting noise when it comes out, but I don't think my iPad noise is coming through at the moment.
Unfortunately, you can't hear the noise.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I think if you use your imagination, you know what it sounds like. Yeah, so I mean, this particular one is, again, just visually really good for students to explore. You can go through all the different systems here. They have the free version, I think, which is limited to the lungs and the heart, I think. The paid version obviously gives you a little bit more access to it as well. Again, they have a lot of support material on their resources on their website as well to sort of help you out with that. Lesson ideas and how you can use the app to sort of engage the students and give them a little, it's features of it basically.
Cool, brilliant.
So let me just, all right, come back. Cool. Can you say me again?
Yeah, got you back. That's brilliant.
Cool. Yeah, so that's something else I had in the back of my mind. It's been around for a while. I know they're doing a lot of work at the moment behind the scenes, sort of expanding their apps out. They've got a range of sort of simple machines, sort of physics ones as well, which is quite cool. And they're really responsive sort of company as well. So if you sort of offer them any advice, they're happy to help too.
Yeah, I find them the same as well, and they're releasing these like really great apps that fit really brilliantly, don't they? One of my favourites, I think you mentioned it then, is the Everything Machine.
Yeah.
I might have shared it on here before actually. I've certainly blogged about it. It's such a brilliant app where children can sort of like play with different elements that take on board lots of the different sort of functions that an iPad can do, and they can write their own little programs. So we had like children making their own sort of like
basic circuits and things like that too, isn't it? Yeah.
Baby alarm. So if the iPad detected motion, then it would send an alarm off, so you know the baby's woken up. There was a selfie cam, so every time the iPad recognised the facial recognition came on, so it would take a picture and play a sound and all these different things, you know.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Really good for getting children thinking about whatever it is that they're studying, but in creative and innovative ways. I really like the stuff they do.
Yeah.
I'm going to try again to see if I can't share my screen. I've some messages coming through, but people still can't see me. This is very strange. Let's just do a quick take a break for a second. Obviously, you can see me, Coby, right?
Yeah, I can see you. Yeah.
Okay.
It says to me that you're presenting to everyone.
Yeah. So let me just send a message now. Can you see me? Now, well, obviously there might be a delay anyway with anybody who's watching.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll keep an eye on Twitter because I got a few messages from a few people.
Okay, so I got a message. I can be seen now. Hello.
Yay.
Right, now let's try and add to that by putting my iPad on screen. So there's my screen sharing. And is there an iPad in front of you now? Can you see an iPad?
Yes.
Right, I'm going to work on the basis that you can see an iPad. So there's two apps on here. I'm not going to focus on both of them. But I want to talk about Annotate at the top there with the 8-ball icon. Okay, so I've been using an app called Annotable for some time, which is great for sort of highlighting aspects of images and so forth and so on. But I saw this demonstrated recently, and it's a cheaper alternative. It does the same sort of thing. So you can blur children's faces, you can do sort of spotlights on images to sort of focus on sort of key points and what have you. Yeah. But I wanted to talk about the Retouch app first of all, because there are lots of great features, and you can do this in other apps and what have you. But I find it really helpful. So, yeah, you can remove spots and what have you from faces and those sorts of things. But I find, you know, I was talking about sort of blanking children's faces, you know, and what have you. This one's got a brilliant object removal tool though. So if I go to the object removal tool down here in the bottom left-hand corner, I'm just going to sort of just draw over that and beach up there. I'll draw over those down there as well. I hit go, and where have they gone? Oh my goodness. And so, yeah, it's just a really nice tool for, so if you've got children who you don't want in there, who can't be in your pictures in your classroom for whatever reason and what have you, it's just a really nice, simple way of just taking things out that you don't want to. Yeah, you can just rub them out if you want to using the eraser or whatever. Okay, but so the object removal tool using the brush is absolutely brilliant. If I get really sort of fine about it, so let's say I want to just lose the chairs and not the parasol there, what have you. So I'll have a little go with the chairs there. Okay, let's come back out a bit more. Go. Oh, is this by magic?
It's a little bit better than putting the smiley faces over the front of the kids, as some people do.
Exactly. So that's the Retouch app, useful in lots of sort of different situations, but just something to have as a little item in your sort of toolkit of apps to help you with whatever it is that you're working on. So that's my two there. Let's just come off sharing that. Can you see me still, Coby?
Yep.
Cool. So look, we've been going for just over half an hour and what have you. I think for a return to AppShareLive, I think that's good enough for now. Is there anything you wanted to add before we sort of said goodbye to everybody, Coby?
No, not really. Just yeah, nice to have you. Nice to catch up with you again, Mark. I know you had a good time in Dubai a little bit ago, catching up with some friends and that out there. So I'm actually heading that way in June as well. So if anyone's around and wants to catch up, just yeah, send me a tweet on Twitter. And if anyone wants any more ideas about any of the sort of stuff I've been doing in science and STEM and that sort of thing, yeah, upper primary, sort of please let me know. We're doing a lot of cool stuff out here in Hong Kong. So yeah, cool.
Brilliant. And just before we go, Coby, you've got a website, yeah, a blog where you share ideas and things as well. Where can people find you?
Yeah, it's just have a link through Twitter. Otherwise, it's tashandcoby.com. Just some random sort of ideas on iPad use, bit of technology, and more so moving into that sort of pedagogy aspect behind it, similar to your article the other week, Mark, talking about pedagogy and technology together as well and how they work well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important, you know, and I've been sharing those sorts of messages for a long time, but I don't think that, well, certainly not for the foreseeable future. I can't see those messages becoming you know, unimportant, shall we say.
Yeah, yeah.
So, no, but it's always a great reading your website. Can you just repeat it again for people?
tashandcoby.com.
tashandcoby.com. Brilliant stuff. Well, look, yeah. Listen, thank you very much for joining me and sharing some ideas. Thank you very much to everyone who's joined us on Twitter and watching us live on YouTube and so forth and so on. So until the next one, thank you very much. That's it. Cheers.
Cool. See you guys.
Ta-ra.